50 years ago, I was playing Little League in West Salem. My dad was the coach. My dad, who was an all-star baseball player, was our coach. And I remember he was pitching and we were doing hitting practice. And there was this one young man on our team. And he was such a good hitter. We're 7 years old. My dad's pitching to him. And he's knocking them everywhere. You know, all the teams like standing at the fence with their fingers wrapped around the cyclone fence, just watching this kid hit him everywhere. And we were amazed. And I remember looking at my dad, and he just got this look on his face. And I could tell he's gonna test this kid. And he threw him a little faster. Kid still knocked him. My dad said, knock one in right field. And he knocked it in right field. And he said, now left field. Knocked it in left field. And then he said, now I don't want you to pop it up. I want you to keep it on the ground. And he did that. And we were just amazed. That kid was Peter Miller. Many years later, I'm a sophomore at Sunset. I'm in Mr. Walthall's biology class. And then all of a sudden, somebody turns to me and said, hey, did you know this kid named Peter Miller? And then the kid said, turn around. And I turned around, and Peter's just staring at me with a big smile on his face. There you go.
Michelle, I think maybe we should leave. There is no way this reunion is going to get any better.
Michelle Unger here, class of '83, Sunset Apollo. Fun fact and fun memory, I have known Lisa Waterman Duffy and Ruth Preston since kindergarten. We attended St. Helens Hall, which is now known as OES, Oregon Episcopal Schools. Other fun fact, Eileen Preston, Ruth Preston's mother, was my second grade teacher at St. Helens Hall, and she was also my favorite teacher. Hope to see you guys at the 40th reunion.
So you're not going to go to law school? What do you want to do then? I want to dance.
Hi, this is Julie Martinson-Witter, and one of the memories that I have of Sunset High School is being on a bus, either going to or coming from cross-country races, cross-country meets, and having Queen's We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions playing and shaking the bus with seismic intent. Good times, all the sports times that I had running and watching and cheering and just having a great time on cross country and track, and those bus rides were great. Bye.
Oh, Mr. Hahn, what's the reason for your truancy?
Just couldn't make it on time.
I almost didn't graduate high school. I skipped school so many times that my attendance was down, and on graduation day, I got to walk, but I did not get a diploma. I had to go back to school and grade PE, what do they call it? Like those tests that you do in PE, to grade those for, I think it was Ron Linehan, I don't even remember. And then for like 2 weeks. So everybody else was out. I was still going back to school for 2 weeks to do this stupid PE thing. I was so upset with myself. But who do you give late lunch and double early release to, but then put PE right after lunch?
Bueller.
One of my favorite memories from Sunset High School was some of the things I learned from Mr. McQueen's math class. He taught us all sorts of really useful things, like how to rip a phone book in half with your bare hands. He also relayed a lot of interesting messages to us via the human alphabet, which I don't even remember how that works anymore. But the one that I most remember is the day that he told us, I don't know why he told us, but he he's like, oh, it's possible to jump rope your own leg. And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you hold your foot with one hand and with the other leg you jump through that hoop. And we're like, well, show us. And he's like, well, I haven't done that in years. But the important thing to remember is if you fail, if you miss, you need to let go of your leg so that you don't fall on your face. And we said, well, we'll try it, and you can just let go of your leg. And he's like, well, I don't know. And he grabs his foot, and he's like, huh. And he kind of hops around a little bit, and he's like, well, huh, yeah, maybe. And we're like, do it. And so he jumps, he misses, he lets go, he lands, and he's like, wow, that was really close. And he grabs his foot again, he jumps, he misses, he doesn't let go of his leg, and he falls on his face right in front of the whole class. And we're sitting there dumbfounded. And he stands up, and there's blood gushing out of his nose. And he disappears out the hall, goes down to the nurse's room or something. And we're sitting there teacherless, looking at each other, going, what the hell just happened? We lost Mr. McQueen not too long ago. And so as a tribute to Mr. McQueen, I'm gonna try one more time to do the leg jump rope.
So you and Tammy still together?
No, not really.
Why is that?
Well, she's jealous. Says I'm living too much in 82.
Okay, here is my story. Mitch Maurer, Mitchell Troy Maurer, my dearest friend in the world, I love you. You made me think of a story here by talking about, you mentioned Glenn Walthall. So Glenn Walthall to this day for me, I think is fascinating. Kevin Filter is my story about Glenn Walthall. Kevin Filter had this unique perspective on a certain way that Glenn Walthall would correct and grade papers, lab papers. There was a certain way you had to do a lab paper, and he was very strict about it. There was a certain format that it had to be, and he laid it out for us in the beginning of the year that if you submit a lab paper any different from this format, you would be failed, and you had to certainly be graded on that type of format along what we thought was content and what we were working on and how we felt about things. Well, that wasn't true. Kevin Filter proved that Mr. Walthall only graded on the format and not the content. And in fact, he never read the content of our papers. And Kevin Filter proved this by submitting a lab paper that was word for word the Tarnex commercial that I know we're all familiar with. I should be able to repeat it, but I can't. Anyway, we know what the Tarnex commercial was. We saw it a million times. So Kevin submitted a paper, a lab paper, with a false title and all of the content being word for word the Tarnex commercial. And he got his paper back, and he got a B on it. It was brilliant. It changed the way that I thought about adults in one respect, and the education system in another respect, that this could be allowed to go on. And the reason why I say the education piece of it is that he reported this to, I guess, the principal at the time, and Glenn Walthall. Thank you for your service, by the way, because you were a military guy and you actually have an interesting background, and people should look him up. I appreciate what he did. But I think at that point in his career, his teaching career, he may have decided that I'm not going to pay that much attention anymore, which it's okay, because it created this unique story, I think. And he kept his job, but that opened my eyes to questioning and paying attention and not just taking things for granted that were told to us and to question, like I said before. Anyway, that's my story. Kevin Filter, I don't know if you're still with us. In fact, I think I heard a rumor that maybe you're not. I hope I didn't put you in your grave too early. And if you're still around, I look forward to seeing you at the 40th reunion, because I want to revisit that story again. I thought that was amazing. Anyway, that's my story. We'll see you at the 40th.
Listen to you guys. I mean, doesn't anyone want to accomplish anything, or do we just want to make money?
Make money.
Just make money.
Yeah. Make a lot of money.
What about you, Joel?
Serve my fellow mankind.
Oh,
Get out of here.
Probably my favorite times as a younger person was riding my little pony Colonel with some of my closest friends at the time when we were riding and doing 4-H was Shannon Curlin and Tanya Monahan and Maria Martinson. And we spent some time at the barn with Christy Trebenci and Kathy Gustafson. And we all had a great time. I remember this one state fair that we all dressed up in togas and pretended to have a horse named Pegasus, and I can't remember whose horse it was that we put wings on and pranced around in a parade. Good memories of my horsey days.
Am I turning you on? It's encouraging. Very encouraging. You know, a girl with a hat is just so bold.
Yeah.
Are you going to the 40-year high school reunion?
I might. I'm definitely going to the cross-country reunion, cross-country track, Dave Robbins. And our reunion, your reunion, is the day before, so I may go.
So I have a memory from 9th grade, Cedar Park. The boys' varsity basketball team was playing Five Oaks in their gym, and we were down one point with 3 or 4 seconds left on the clock, and we had to go the full length of the court on the inbounds, and they inbound to Bill Banton, and he was dribbling around, weaving through people, and got to the top of the key and threw up a 20-footer, swish, game over. His teammates mobbed him, and it was a great little sports moment in junior high Cedar Park history.
I don't want to share too many memories, but here's another one. I had tons of fun roller skating at Beaverton Skate Center. My favorite friend at that time was Jolene, and we tore it up every weekend. Junior high, I also had Mary Zabrowski was my locker partner, and became really good friends with Sue Gates, Sue Thacker, Ellen Pollard, Donna Christofferson, Sandy Harris, and lots of the gals on the flag line. I have a particular flag line memory with Leanne Hansen. It was kind of like that Breakfast Club scene where the kind of gothic girl was getting helped by Molly Ringwald getting her makeup on. I remember Leanne teaching me how to apply eyeliner. Apparently I was doing it too dark under the eye, so she was instructing me on how to take care of that. So that's a great memory. Thank you, Leanne. I use that tip even today.
I don't even have any good skills.
What do you mean?
You know, like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
One memory I have, William Walker, recess time, bombardment outside. It's kind of like dodgeball. If you're lucky and you get first pick, you would have always picked Roger Davis first. He's incredible to watch. I mean, we could whittle down a team down to the last player, Roger Davis on the other side, and it could be the whole team against him. And I watched him several times catch balls that were uncatchable, bringing people into the game and winning. If you have Roger Davis on your team for dodgeball, you are going to win. I will never forget that.
Hey, you in my class? I am today.
Hey, 83 Apollos, it's Scott. I wanted to tell a fun story of an experience I had in high school that still haunts me to this day. And like a lot of you guys, Rodney, Bruce, Mike, I get scared easily with scary movies, and I really don't like them. So I remember this one time, senior year of high school, I got asked over by Greg Walker to his house, and I think we have dinner that night after playing some basketball, and we decide to watch a scary movie called Ruby. And this is probably at about, I think it probably started at about midnight. And at the Walker house, it's multi-level. They've got a downstairs area of living space that Greg had his bedroom in, and they've got a big living room with a pool table down there. And that's when they had the TV. And so Greg and I started watching Ruby at 12 o'clock, and I'm scared through this entire thing. It's a very scary movie. And probably ends around 2 o'clock. Well, I had to head home because in the morning I had something to do. And so I'm like, Greg, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm a little shaken, little scared. Can you walk me to my car? And my car was in his driveway. And Greg's like, no, I'm going to bed. Good night. And he walks into his room and he goes to bed. And so, it's pitch dark at the bottom of the Walker house. And I'm like looking behind me the whole time, thinking that there's the Ruby character that's going to grab me and kill me. And I run to my car in his driveway. Anyway, so I get in my car. I lock all the doors. So, and if you know the Walker house, it's a very long driveway. So I am in the car, totally scared. And I back the car out of the driveway to head on to Leahy Road. Well, when I backed the car out and put it into drive, was in reverse. So when I put it into drive, I look over to the left side of me, and there is this monster that Greg put on this monster mask and screamed, "Ah!" And of course, I am totally freaked out. I am so freaking scared. I scream, "Ah!" because I was probably still a soprano back then. I am screaming as loud as I can. I floor it. Fortunately, I was in drive. I floor it, and somehow I turn onto Leahy Road. I'm still screaming easily a mile down on Leahy Road. I am so freaking scared. I thought a monster was there. Now, this monster mask that Greg had on was, I think, it looked like a caveman or something like that. It was really hairy. It had a big nose and an ugly face. And Greg was screaming. Supposedly, when I drove incredibly fast away from the Walker house, Greg is on the floor of the driveway laughing his head off, laughing enough so that he wakes up his parents. Well, I don't know what woke up his parents more, probably me screaming. But his parents get out of the house. They see Greg. They see Greg on the floor of their driveway, laughing his head off. And well, long story short, the next day I get a call from Greg, and he said, "Hey, Scott, my mom told me that I need to call you and apologize because that was a really rotten thing to do, and that I would be lucky to have a friend in you again if if you forgive me." That was what, 40 years ago, and Greg and I are best friends today. So that's my story. Anyways, great seeing everybody. Everybody stay healthy, stay happy, stay 17 up here. And I really had a lot of fun during this reunion. Thanks.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.